Nocturnal Frequency Radio with your hosts, Steve and Alex.
And welcome to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, here live on the New Visions Radio Network. And, well, I don't know. I when we were in Q, Alex, I don't know. Can it be like, what is it, ectoplasma? But we're not just talking about regular ectoplasma. We're talking about the poltergeist type, right? Like bangs and well, strange noises.
It's haunted.
Pardon me. Well, you know, it's funny. For the first little bit there, I think the audience was thinking I was talking to myself because Frankie, for some odd reason, is not doing his job properly.
Frankie's always slacking.
I know. I had to slap him.
We gotta do something.
I had to slap him. I had to slap him to wake him up. Come on, man, what are you doing? Get that mixer going. What's going on? Okay, we're good. We're okay. We're fine.
Yes.
So here we are, another week in Nocturnal Land, and wow, I just can't believe the amount of people who have been tuning into the live portion of the show. It's just been incredible.
I know, it's been fantastic, actually.
You know, it's exceeded far beyond what we ever thought it would, and we want to obviously thank everybody, especially the people who tune in regularly every Sunday night. This is thank you for tuning in and supporting the show.
That's right.
It helps us with our burrito problem.
Yes.
But we're one less location, which is kind of, I don't know, what are we gonna do?
I don't know, man. We're gonna have to figure out something because they took away that one location and it's pissing me off.
I mean, it's not like we could go to any Joe Schmo sort of burrito. I mean, this Big Fat Burrito. It's
not the same.
And here we go. We're giving them free advertising. Big Fat Burrito is like the burrito.
Yes, exactly.
It is. I mean, you can go to some of these other, and there's tons of these burrito places out there, but they just, I don't know, man. Like again, we've talked about this in the past several times. When you said, "Hey, man, you got to check this place out. It's really good," and I remember going there for the first time, and I said, I want a large burrito, and you go, well, yeah, I'm not sure if you really want to get the large burrito, man. It's massive. You're not going to finish it. And I'm like, yeah, no problem, man. It's no. And I remember when the damn thing came out, I'm like, holy shit.
I know. I told you.
It's. You know what? That's a meal for a 4-member family.
Yeah. It was a big burrito, yes.
But that's not the best part of it, though.
What's the best part?
Well, hey, 4 times the after effect.
Well, yes.
Depending on what you get in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. For me, there's always an after effect.
Well, at least you're honest about that, right?
Oh, hey. Why deny the truth, right?
So what's new?
Nothing.
Oh, I don't know.
Gotta keep up appearances, man.
I know. I don't know why I'm surprised with that answer.
You shouldn't be.
There's I don't know. There's a new series starting up. I believe tonight is the first episode, and it's called American Gods.
American Gods?
Yes, it's from the Neil Gaiman books.
Oh, I think I saw the one of the commercials for it.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it because I mean, he's got some really good stuff. Have you ever read any of his stuff?
Not directly.
Oh man, it's just really, really, really. Let me just say, it's not for those who expect the normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's beyond abnormal. but it makes sense if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And if you ever have a chance, check out some of his work.
I will try.
There you go. We're not going to take too much time with the diatribe this evening because I think we're going to get right to it.
Yeah, sure. We got our good friend Scott on, so why not?
Yes, we're going to, when we go for break and when we come back, we're going to have Scott McClelland on, and we're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. I mean, from his Sideshow, Carnival Diablo, which is really intriguing. I really want to see this. So I have yet to see. Have you seen it?
I've seen his other show.
Which one's that?
The Paranormal Show.
Oh, the Paranormal Show. I have not seen.
I haven't had the chance to see Carnival Diablo yet, so I'm hoping he brings that our way so I can check it out.
Yeah, I'd love to see it, and I'd definitely be down to seeing it. So, hopefully, yeah, if that's in our future down here, we'll find out from Scott, obviously, when we bring him in after our break. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Dark Discussions. Again, Facebook, we have our new page, which is facebook.com/Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Easy, or just do us in the search box, type in Nocturnal Frequency Radio. And of course, BBM.
Yes.
Is it growing? Is it still stagnant?
It grew a few members.
It grew.
Not as much as I'd like, but it grew a few members at least.
It grew a few members, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? That's a few members more. Right? We can't complain.
That's right.
Can we?
Well, anything's better than nothing, right?
Well, yeah. So, but you continuously like add to it. Like, I mean,
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, stories.
I mean, this week I haven't gone on it as much as I'd like to, but generally speaking, I usually post either, if not every day, every other day.
Yeah, exactly. But that's cool. And again, I'm sure there's a few people that are on the group that come and listen to the show on a regular basis, if not listen to a rebroadcast. Well, right now, unfortunately, the archives are down, and they will be up eventually. It's still under construction.
Yes.
So, but they will be back up. And you can find those, obviously, here at www.newvisionsradio.com, where we are exclusive. Wow, exclusive. I love that word, exclusive.
It's almost like we're exclusively dating.
Don't say that too loud, Alex. Two bald heads? Come on.
Well,
that's not a good thing.
Giant ass.
Well, there you go. Okay, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we're going to take a short break here, and when we come back, we're going to have our friend Scott McClelland on to talk about Carnival Diablo, the Paranormal Show, and more. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio live exclusively here on the New Visions Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Beyond, the television series that redefines the paranormal. Academic, scientific, and medical opinions that, combined with expert testimony, provide new insight into 48 phenomena that challenge the frontiers of human understanding. The Beyond series was originally broadcast on television in Canada and the USA. Now the series is available throughout the world on Hulu, Amazon, and TV Tibi. In Canada, it can be seen through Amazon On Demand. Come with us and take a step into the unknown lands that lie beyond. More information at beyondtheseries.com.
This is Keith Age, and you're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Enjoy.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens due to the crisis that is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments. At this hour, we repeat, these are the facts as we know them. There is an epidemic of mass murder being committed by a virtual army of unidentified assassins. The murders are taking place in villages and cities and rural homes and suburbs with no apparent pattern nor reason for the slayings. It seems to be a sudden general explosion of mass homicide.
And welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, here live exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network. And I, myself, Steve, am here. I believe Frankie got the control mechanisms or modules or levels properly geared. And I think I do have my co-host here. Alex, are you with me?
I am in spirit, yes.
In spirit. You didn't tell me in spirit. Frankie just said, you have Alex. He's right there.
Frankie needs to get fired.
Yeah, try doing that. Anyhow, just a quick thing. People have been asking us about the music that we play on the show. We finally decided that we're going to publish the playlists for each show, and we've started with the first with April, and those are published on our Facebook page, so you can go and check out what we've played, and even tonight's playlist has been published. Anyhow, enough of that. I think we really need to bring in Scott. Scott, how are you?
I'm excellent. Good evening, gentlemen.
And, I know Alex and I have talked a few times that we really need to have Scott. And I know you and I, Scott, we talked in the past about some experimentation, because I know you have some some gear and stuff that experimentation sort of thing that you'd like to implement into paranormal investigations as well. And we had a little chat about that. That was a while ago.
Yes, that was 9 years ago.
Was it 9 years ago?
Yes.
Oh,
jeez, where does the time go, man?
It seems like 9 years ago. God, yes. Anyhow, we need to freshen it up and perhaps maybe do something.
That would be lovely.
Yes. So, anyhow, you are gearing up to start Carnival Diablo. And for those who may not know exactly what Carnival Diablo is, can you let our audience know a little bit about the inner workings of Carnival Diablo?
Well, Carnival Diablo is Canada's largest circus sideshow. We are, as of this year, celebrating our 25th year in the industry. And we have performed all over North America. And it's a show based on sideshow things that are rather dangerous. We do things like sword swallowing, fire breathing, glass walking, putting a shark hook through an unpierced tongue and lifting 45 pounds of rocks. There's many wonders and tremendous things.
I think, we're having some trouble hearing you. Alex, are you hearing Scott okay?
No, it's kind of low, and I just tried to listen through it on the website. It's coming through. It is coming through, but it's very low.
Very, very low. Okay, let me just try some things here. Okay. Okay, we're brought right up. Sorry about that, Scott.
That's all right.
I just wanted to make sure everyone could hear you okay, and everything's okay on this end, so maybe it's a Skype thing. I don't know. But anyhow... And I know the obvious the dates haven't been released, and again when you release those, we'll definitely have to post those on our website to make sure our listeners I know a lot of our listeners would love to come out and check the show and support it, because it certainly sounds really intriguing.
Well, we're very proud of the show. We've been doing it for, like I said, 25 years. And my family's been doing Circus Sideshow since 1920. We're the only sideshow family in the country. And so collectively, we've almost done the show now in the world of freak shows for almost 100 years in our family.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That is. I mean,
yeah.
and that's, in this day and age, it's a rarity. I mean, you really, like, with some of these bigger shows are just like disappearing.
I know. Well, as of May 28th, Barnum and Bailey's service is closing its doors forever.
Which is sad.
Yes, it is.
It's like I can understand, the activists and all that, but they really don't see the inner workings of the, there's a lot of hard work into this.
Oh, yes. Well,
sorry, go ahead.
I'm just thinking what you're saying. It's just a real shame. But I guess life has changed, and we have to move with the times. And luckily for us, Carnival Diablo is still here. And we're going to be celebrating our 25th year in a rather special way, because this year we want a big top service date. And we'll be touring across Ontario to 20 different towns and cities starting on a 2-4 weekend.
Oh, wow. Now, with Carnival Diablo, and again, I guess a lot of it would play on maybe bringing in certain fears of some people and sort of going into areas that a lot of people would probably go, and I guess striking the psyche with the show.
Carnival Diablo plays with all of your fears, and it also deals in all the taboos that people usually watch out for, in the sense of things that are usually seen as wrong are right in a certain sense. And many things that we watch during the performance are shocking, strange, but at the same time exhilarating, exciting, and rather definite. The show is based on being the demonstration. It's based on the idea that this stakeholder is going to remain for over 70 years, but like the themselves. And so all the human particles in the show are actually demons. And it's wonderful demons is a great way of using intelligence to wow the audience.
And sorry, we're having trouble hearing you. I don't know what it is. I do not know. Everything seems to be fine here. I can't figure out what the problem is. The audio levels are really, really low with you. Let me just, you know what? Let me call you back. Let me call you back, and perhaps that might work. Okay?
It could be a bad thing.
Yeah, let me call you back, and hopefully that's going to be that'll be better. Okay, hold tight. We'll call you right back. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the issue is.
It's probably Skype, I'm assuming.
Well,
but you know what?
What?
Call him first. I'm going to disconnect it from the call as well. And I'll monitor it on the website, and then just call me back in a few minutes.
Okay, all right. It's a shame because, well, hey, it's quite interesting. Okay, let me just. Hello. I brought Scott, or did I bring you back in, Alex? Okay. All right, we're gonna bring Scott back in here. Let's see. Hopefully that works out with Scott. And hopefully things work out a lot better here.
Hello.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm good.
Sorry, you sound a lot better. I think it might have been just the connection that we had.
It was just a bad line you were on.
Yeah, it just seemed like it. But you're crystal clear now. Other than that, it might have been Alex. No, I like that. Blame him. Anyways, going back to things. And you are like, when it comes to Carnival Diablo, you are
Nikolai Diablo.
Nikolai
is the
Diablo.
Name of the character I portray.
And where is that character come from? Where did you create this character?
Well, Nikolai Diablo is the devil.
Well,
Old Nick.
Okay.
It's actually a nickname that they gave the devil. Nick was the name of the devil.
Oh.
And I own the Devil's Carnival, which is Carnival Diablo.
Diablo, yes.
And my grandfather's name was also Nick.
Oh, wow.
And so in homage to my grandfather, I call myself Nicholas also on stage because of that.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're in character. What's the character like when you're presenting this show?
Well, Nikolai Diablo is the devil incarnate.
Yeah.
He's decadent, he's lascivious, and he's, rather charming and yet rather disheartening at the same time. He's the barker that draws you in the show and then makes you sorry for your stares.
Yes, and Alex, your sins will never be forgiven.
I don't expect it to be forgiven.
So how many shows do you usually do in total? Is there a set amount of shows that you do in total, or
I don't understand.
Like, I mean,
in a year or in a week or
like well okay. So how long does it usually run for the carnival itself?
Well, Carnival Diablo is a touring show.
Okay,
and
so it
runs all year round.
Okay, so constantly tour. I didn't know if it was like there was just a limited run or a certain time of the year. So it constantly.
No,
runs.
It's not a hobby.
Okay, great. And what are the audiences like? I mean, what's the like? I mean, is there a lot of people that show up? What type of people? Like the audience?
We do auditoriums.
Yeah.
Like 1,500 seaters. We sell out. That's that's what we are. We're the A ticket.
Yeah.
Carnival Diablo is world famous. It's not just a Canadian phenomena.
Yeah.
It's a world phenomena. And so when we put on a show, everybody wants to come up and see it if they're in the area.
So Scott, have you gone with the show outside of Canada?
I have not taken it to Europe. And I have been asked countless times to play in New Orleans or New York, but I have not gone as of yet.
That would be awesome, though, in New Orleans.
It would be, but with Trump in presidency right now, as it were, I certainly don't want to be trying to go over the border with electric chairs, beds of nails, and swords.
No, you're right. You definitely don't want to take that chance. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So just for personal curiosity, is your show heading this way anytime soon?
No, actually, this summer our tour is in the Ottawa region. Sadly for the Torontonians, we won't be out your way because we've got 20 towns and cities starting May 2-4 and going to October 7th. And that 20 cities takes us for every single weekend of the 5 months. And so we're working Thursday through Sunday in a different town, a different city. So we don't have the chance to actually come out to the Toronto region during that time because we're solidly booked.
Oh, wow.
I guess we're going to have to make our way out there then.
We're going to have to go out there and see a show.
Yes, and the beautiful thing about the show Under the Big Top is we're going to be doing up to 10 shows a day.
Oh, wow.
Every hour on the hour. So starting at 10 in the morning and going till 10 at night, there will be a show every hour. And the show's 25 minutes long. And it will be just $5 to enter the Big Top.
And how can you beat that? I mean, honestly, for something like this, $5. I mean, that's incredible.
It is.
Well, we wanted to do something for our fans so that they could come in large groups and enjoy themselves. And I felt that if we had a $20 ticket attached to the show, it would be a deterrent in capacity. We want to fill the Big Top every time we perform. And believe it or not, at $5, Good Business states that we will actually see a full house pretty well every show.
And there's nothing like seeing a full house when you have a show like this, that's for sure.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you feed off of the audience's energy, and the audience themselves becomes a rather interesting little animal. And so it's a wonderful symbiotic relationship that we have.
For sure. Now, are you doing both shows or just the one? Like, are you doing also
Carnival Diablo is what we're celebrating this year, the 25th anniversary. So awesome. It's a rather unusual show. It has not been seen before, this version of the show. And it will have some paranormal aspects to it, believe it or not. But it will also have sideshow feats. There will be danger. And it ends with a rather wonderful introduction of something new that nobody's ever witnessed in their lives.
Awesome.
So yeah,
and that
you can't divulge that
no,
information right now. No, obviously not.
I can actually tease you about what it is.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The show is going to end with the unveiling of a 19th century automaton.
Ooh.
Nice.
That is a mechanical robot that works on clockwork.
That is awesome.
Now, the automaton's name is Visago. And if you Google that name, you will find out that Visago is one of the highest demons in the upper levels of hell. And his prowess, his best little gimmick, as it were, is that he can tell you your past, your present, and your future for a price.
For a price,
and
yes.
So and so Under the Big Top, as a grand finale, you will meet Visago, and he will read your minds. And people have said that Visago has a soul, but really, how is that possible? He's a mechanical robot. Well, I'll tell you how it's possible. You see, intermingled with the cogs and wheels inside of Visago's body are human organs. And these have to be replenished nightly to keep that essence inside of him. So he has the ability to see into your soul. So what is in your heart is in Visago's heart also.
Nice.
And he will tell you your exact thoughts, good or bad.
You know what, Scott? Have you ever, I don't know, your voice and how you tell a story, have you ever thought about doing like a radio serial? And you probably have done it, I don't know. Have you ever done something like that before?
I've done a couple radio stories. I'm actually a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
And I've done both The Pit and the Pendulum,
okay,
as a full evening, and also The Telltale Heart, which is my favorite Poe story.
Oh, awesome! I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. And you definitely have the perfect voice for that.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
And obviously, and doing the hosting bit for a mutual friend of ours, a little thing that he did with the Fusion House there, Richard Palmisano.
Yes, a wonderful man.
Oh yes, Richard's a great guy. I just love Richard and having him on the show. Now, maybe switching a little bit into the paranormal show. Can you tell us a little bit about the paranormal show?
Well, the Paranormal Show is my other production, and it's a show based on supernatural activity, live on stage. It's an hour and a half long, and you will experience things like telekinesis, psychokinesis, the movement of objects with the mind, retrocognition, the ability to have a person come up from the audience and experience a past event that they've never experienced before, and yet they can tell me in full detail about something that had taken place over 100 years ago without any prior knowledge of it. I kind of make it a little more interesting, though, for my audience, because I have 3 people come up, and they solve a murder that took place 100 years ago using retrocognition.
Oh, wow.
It's astounding, actually. Then, of course, I do some I do some hypnotism, but I don't do it like a hypnotist does.
Okay.
My grandfather was also a performer of this ilk, and he taught me how to actually place the whole audience under mass hypnosis, and that's what we do in the show. Instead of like bringing up some people from the audience, the whole audience goes under, and then I make them remember what they did, and it's unbelievable.
Is that a lot easier than perhaps an individual doing a whole audience, or is it a lot? Is it a tougher situation?
It's a tougher situation because everybody has their own distractions when they're sitting in a seat in an audience. Whereas when you're on stage, you have no distractions. You're basically up there alone. So the show plays on many different levels, and of course it ends with a seance with poltergeist activity live on stage. We actually bring out Edison's machine to talk to the dead and put it to the test on stage during every performance. And yes, things do go bump in the night.
They do. I remember seeing that show many times, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
What was your favorite part about it, Alex?
Well, the whole show. Really.
Well, but the whole show, obviously. But was there a certain aspect of it that you really, really enjoyed?
Let's see. I got to think back now because it's been a while since I've seen the show. But I mean, I enjoyed the part where he brings the people up on stage to solve the murder. Yes.
Thank you.
And solving them. Oh, that is really, really cool. And again, the website is the paranormalshow.com.
No, the website is theparanormalshow.net.
Sorry. And
yes.
And again, Carnival Diablo is carnivaldiablo.com.
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect.
It is carnivaldiablo.com.
Okay, perfect. And if those of you are looking to see the show Carnival Diablo, keep your eyes open on the website because that's where you're going to be posting the dates. Obviously, when you have
the schedule's going up next week.
Next week, okay, awesome.
Yes.
And again, in the Ottawa area, mostly. In and around.
Yes, we're doing a 500-kilometer radius of Ottawa, but we don't do the Toronto region because it has its own hamlets like Mississauga and Hamilton and all that, and that would be a completely different tour for us. And so this year we're doing the Ottawa region, which we call the Valley, and so there's a lot of wonderful fairs and everything that we'll be playing at there with our big top. But there's a chance, in the next year or something, we might be able to actually bring the show to the Toronto region and do the Toronto fairs.
Well, Ottawa's not that far.
Oh, no, it's not. As a matter of fact, I drive to Toronto constantly, and it's only a 3-hour drive.
Yeah,
a 3-hour drive, a 3-hour drive.
As long as you don't take a boat over here, you're fine.
Yeah. So how many people are involved with Carnival Diablo, roughly?
Well, the show, depending on the size of the venue, can go from 3 to 7 performers.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. And it's sectioned into, like, how many acts roughly, or how is it sectioned off, or...
Well, in a 2-hour show, there's a halftime break on the hour. There's in a 2-hour show around 27 different acts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's quite an extravaganza. I'm very proud of it. We've had the privilege of doing it like I said, all over the country. And we've done like sold-out stadiums, 1,500 capacity stadiums, and because of Carnival Diablo's fame, I've had the privilege of doing movies such as the movie Blood Moon, which starred Tim Curry and Grace Jones and myself, and it was about a 1940s carnival, and a girl that had hypertrichosis, which is hair all over her body. She was her suit, as it were. And the story is about the fact that she was left by her parents at a carnival when she was a baby because of the strange amount of hair on her body, and she was raised as a performer called the Wolf Girl. And it's a cautionary tale because she just wants to be like any other 17-year-old teenage girl, just a cute, boppy, beautiful girl, but instead she's covered in hair. And so she wishes she could be like all the other girls, but it's a be careful what you wish for kind of deal. And some rather terrible and strange things happen. And I'm lucky enough to be on screen with Tim Curry, Grace Jones, and also in all of the nightmare sequences during the movie itself. It's quite something.
Yeah, I remember the movie actually, and that sort of leads into what I was going to ask you. What have you had? I'm sure you've had some quite interesting people show up to the show and see it. And
oh yes,
who have you had out? Recognizable.
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor. Wow.
Yeah, he's been out to our show. Let's see. Oh goodness. Well, Bret Hart's a big fan of our show.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Kim Mitchell has been to our show a few times.
Yeah.
Let's see. Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh wow.
Has been to the show and loves it. Yeah. Wonderful lady.
Yeah, she seems very, very nice. It's just incredible, and again, it's amazing that you're able to sustain something that is to many very rare, and a lot of people who really just have never experienced something like this, have never even experienced a regular circus or sideshow or whatever. It's just amazing that you're able to do this, and I commend you.
Thank you.
And
well, it's like I said, it's part of our family legacy.
Yeah,
and it's important for me to carry it on because I'm the last of the grandchildren that actually wants to do this.
Yeah.
You see, my grandmother could swallow 7 swords at one time. Oh. She's in the Sword Swallower Hall of Fame. And my grandfather, who owned the circus sideshow back in the 1920s and 30s, was known as a human pincushion. He would impale his body with bicycle spokes sharpened to a deadly point. And he'd also throw seances and everything else during his productions. So he was a very eccentric performer for the 1920s and 30s.
Wow. And I think when we get into the second hour, I want to dive more into, I guess, the influences and even your thoughts on many things within the paranormal that you sort of, I guess, add and sort of absorb and bring into these shows, because obviously there, like you said, there is a bit of the paranormal involved, the supernatural and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to hear your take on all that as well.
Absolutely. More than happy to.
With the carnival,
yes.
I know it's a family thing, but what else about it that has attracted you and kept you so involved like you are with it?
Well, it's a passion. It's a love.
Yeah.
To perform such dangerous feats on stage, and to do it as well as we do, is a real treat for me and the audience, because there's an exhilaration and an adrenaline rush when you're performing something that is truly dangerous on stage. I do impale my body much like my grandfather did. And, I put a shark hook through my unpierced tongue and lift 45 pounds of rocks.
Oh, wow.
I'm also a fire reader. And so it's like there's a lot of acts in the show that are really dangerous and rather exciting to watch, but just as exciting to perform. And you have to stay on your toes. Yeah. When you're performing things like this. These are not magic tricks. This is no illusion, and so we have to be very coherent. You can't drink before a show. You can't do drugs. You have to have your senses, all 5 of them, working when you're on stage, because chaos ensues, and sometimes bad things can happen.
Yeah,
and so it's very important that you stay in control.
So, what was it like the first time that you actually had to perform some of these things? What was it like the first time?
Well, I can remember the very first performance I did of Carnival Diablo was on April Fool's Day of 1992, 25 years ago.
Okay.
And my mother was in the audience, who was, of course, part of the Carnival family that ran the circus Sideshow. Mm-hmm. And I was a little trepidatious about impaling my body on stage in front of my mother, and also putting a shark hook through my tongue and lifting 45 pounds of rocks. And at the end of the show, my mother walked up to me and she said, "Scott, when you're impaling your body, go deep. The audience loves when you go deep." And I was like, "Thank you, Mom." That's a good carny mom.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Well, I mean, if it's been in the family for that long, I'm sure she's used to it, right?
Oh, good God. My mom, when she was 4 years old, she said she hated watching Grandpa's show because every performance my grandmother would kill my grandmother on stage. My grandfather would kill my grandmother on stage. He had an act where he would do the guillotine, the large French guillotine, and they would do a Marie Antoinette routine with my grandmother and bring her out, and they'd strap her onto a board and put her head into the stocks and of course, pull the lever on the old blade, and the blade would come crashing down, and her head would come off, just like in the Alice Cooper concerts. And my mom, at 4 years old, could not stand the fact that Grandpa kept on killing her mother. Because Mom suddenly would reappear somehow backstage totally fine. And so, my mom had a very unusual upbringing, to say the least.
Now, obviously, you mentioned that you need to have all 5 senses clear there, and because I mean, like you say, this is very dangerous. This can be very dangerous. And
yes,
have you had a situation where perhaps maybe not, having things completely go awry, but I mean close and make you think, okay.
Oh, things have gone wrong.
Okay.
When you do 25 years of Sideshow,
yeah,
things go wrong.
Yeah.
You can't get away from the fact that accidents will happen.
Yeah.
I was on stage at Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton a few years back, and there was 2,000 people in the audience. And I was around 10 minutes into the opening of the show, and I was about to do a game of Russian roulette with a buck knife on stage. And I had brought up a gentleman from the audience, and I had asked him to, there was a board with 5 holes in it, and I asked him to place the buck knife in one of the 5 holes upright. And I gave him 5 paper bags, and I said, cover each hole with a paper bag, so that when I turn around, because my back was turned to him, when I turn around, I will not know where the knife resides. And basically, I was going to be using his body language to tip me off as to where the knife was. I'm basically telling you how that works. But what the problem was, when I brought the man up on stage, I didn't realize until he was finally on the stage, because when you're a person sitting in the audience, you don't notice this kind of stuff. He was drunk. And so I could not get him to focus while I had him on stage. And when it came down to the time where I had to actually crush 4 of the bags and leave one standing, it got really tense. And I crushed the first 2 bags, but I was left with 2 bags at the end of the act, which I had to crush at least one of those bags and leave one standing. I had a 50-50 chance that the knife was under one of them, obviously. And I could not get a beat off this guy. He was absolutely pissed to the gills. And he wasn't looking at me. He wasn't focusing at on me. He was like, "Whoa, man, it's so cool to be on stage, man. Oh my God." And it was like I was having a hell of a time just trying to read the guy. And so I made a decision. And I slammed my hand down on the bag, and the knife went right through my hand in front of 2,000 people.
Was that guy's name Alex?
No. But there was a guy from the Globe and Mail in the front row, and he got a picture of the knife going through my hand. And it went into the Globe and Mail the next morning. Freak accident and freak show. And it went worldwide. And it was, you got to turn lemons into lemonade. It was the best publicity I ever had because I proved that what we were doing was real. Now, of course, I did not want to put a knife through my hand. But because of the accident, it was direct proof that what we were doing was not fake.
It was real,
and so this 2,000 capacity room, the next day, had 3,500 people packed into it. People were sitting on the stairs just to watch the show because they knew that what they were about to witness was dangerous. And boy, did we give them a big show. We were there for 10 days. And we had the place packed at 3,500 people, capacity, like over capacity, every frigging night.
Wow. And the media, how does it perceive you? Like, how does it react to you? And how does it report about you? Like, how do they take you? The mainstream media.
We invite the media to come out to our shows.
Oh, I imagine
that's
that.
That's the best way to experience it.
Yeah,
is live. But talking to me on the telephone is not going to give you the experience of a live performance.
But generally, are they pretty positive with what you're doing, or do they try to?
They love it.
Well, that's good. That's good.
No, we never get a bad review. In the 25 years of doing this show, it's always been reviewed very well. People eat it up, and we're a good story. And because my family's been doing it since 1920, we're also historically a very interesting story. So the media loves us.
So, since 1920, your family's been involved. And involved, what has it been a sideshow? Like, how involved how?
Well, my grandfather, he ran a large, carnival and sideshow and vaudeville show under a big top. So this is when vaudeville was still king before there was radio and television, I understand.
Yeah.
And so he toured all over the United States and Canada, all the way down to Florida with his vaudeville show and his sideshow and carnival. And, they had a full 2-hour show under the big top, much like I'll be doing this year. And I have enough information on my grandfather's tent dimensions and like how he set it up that we're trying to emulate what he did. So it's actually a throwback. What we're doing is a throwback to what my grandfather had done 70, 80 years ago.
That is cool. Your characters and the overall, and again, you're saying with the tent dimensions, but I mean, what have you taken from your family's involvement and brought it into Carnival Diablo?
Well, I'm the only sideshow trainer in Canada.
Oh, wow.
In the past 25 years, I've trained 49 people to be sideshow performers.
And what's that entail to train somebody to be in a sideshow? Because I mean, obviously that's something
of training just to do one feat.
I would imagine it would take a lot of skill to do any one of the feats that you do.
Well,
right?
sword swallowing can take 2 to 7 years to master, because you put a sword even just to your tonsils, and you're going to gag on it. Now that's a natural thing. Yeah. So it's like you have to train the body not to gag on a sword, because you've got to get that sword 24 inches into your body. And that's down the gullet, right down to your stomach. And that can take years. And I've trained 4 sword swallowers in the past 25 years. I've trained 14 impalers that have all learned how to transcend pain and impale their bodies. I've trained people that can walk on glass, strong men that can bend iron bars in their teeth and become human dartboards. I've done a lot of rather unusual training over the past 25 years, but it's all been for the good of Sideshow, because many of these feats cannot be learned online or in a book. You have to be apprenticed to learn them properly.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I mean, just, the acts, the overall atmosphere, everything about this just seems like something that every kid years ago would love to go see. And it just seems that, you're saying, a lot of people obviously still love seeing it, but it's just so rare. And I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's something I would love to see firsthand, and it's almost like it would bring back memories of going to see it when I was a kid, and that's the thing. You don't get that very often anymore.
No, it's true.
And
it's magical.
It's magical. It's a shame that kids are really not exposed to this kind of stuff anymore.
Well, we're trying to keep it alive, and that's why we're bringing the big show under a circus tent this year, so that thousands of people can see it over the course of the summer. This is the first time in Canada's history since the 1960s that a sideshow's been under a big top.
Wow!
And and so it's rather exciting to bring the sideshow to the masses at different fairgrounds across this wonderful province.
I've already said it, but I commend you, because I mean that's no small feat. It's not. No,
it's going to be a lot of hard work. The setting up and tearing down of a circus tent is not an easy thing. We have a rather unusual show this season. So I'm also, like I said, carrying a 19th century automaton, and it's fragile and it's beautiful and it's very, very creepy. And we have to make sure that he's well oiled and that his organs are being replenished on a nightly basis, so that we can keep this damn thing working properly.
Exactly. Okay, we're going to take a short break here, and when we come back, we'll dive a little bit more into this, and obviously I'd love to dive into the paranormal aspects, the supernatural aspects that you sort of draw upon, and your thoughts about a lot of the stuff, and more, obviously. Folks, you're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here live exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network, and our guest tonight is Scott McClelland, and we're talking about Carnival Diablo. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
On Thursday, October 6th, at the Burlington in Chicago, and Friday, October 7th, at the Feed Arts Center in Kankakee, Illinois, an incredible musical and historical event is taking place based on psychoacoustics, industrial music, and electronic voice phenomena. This will include the first ever U.S. performance of Addie Newton's The Anti-Group, the electronic experimentation of Michael Boyd, and the debut of a new project by Michael Esposito, EVP specialist, and Addie Newton's called Matar. Based on EVP from Paris's underground catacombs, the standing stones of southern England, and ley lines across Europe and the world. If you have interest in industrial music, psychoacoustic research, or electronic voice phenomena, or experimental music, this is something you don't want to miss. Thursday, October 6th at the Burlington in Chicago, Friday, October 7th at the Feed Arts Center in Kankakee, Illinois. There'll be a special, limited edition flexi record with previously unpublished recordings by all three performers available at both shows.
When you've had it up to here,
his hand is way above his head,
with the commercials and the same 5 songs again and again and again and again and again and again and again, there's only one place to lock it down. New Visions Radio. No commercials, the best talk, and the best new music all over the world. NewVisionsRadio.com.
You are listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, hosted by Steve Jenny and his synthetic assistant, Alex Montini, both of whom can't go into churches without vomiting.
Before going to Port Robinson Road, I would have been one of those guys that you told me that you were going on a ghost hunt. I wouldn't necessarily laugh at you, but I would think to myself, yeah, that's a waste of time. You know, there's really no point in going.
Port Robinson Road is not a horror film, and it shouldn't be confused with the mainstream Hollywood horror films of today. It's a mystery, thriller, drama, and I don't think it's anything that's ever been done before, at least not in this way. And I think it's vital to the paranormal world that a film like this takes itself seriously. I don't think there are too many films of this nature that take themselves too seriously, and this one does. At least I'm taking it very seriously, and that is why I think it's about time that something like this was brought to the forefront.
Visit PortRobinsonRoad.com for more information on the feature paranormal film in development.
But going to Port Robinson Road really just took my eyes and peeled them right open and said, you know what? There's the possibility for this to be out there.
And welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, here live exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network. And, well, Alex, I've been fully intrigued with the first half of the show. With
Definitely, yeah.
Scott, I want to thank you again for joining us this evening. It's been absolutely intriguing to learn more about Carnival Diablo.
Thank you.
You know, you mentioned, you know, aspects of the paranormal and the supernatural. You know, where do you, what I guess, where do you stand with a lot of that and your beliefs? I guess the beginning.
Well, my grandfather, again, comes into play in this part of the story in my life, because my grandfather was a shaman.
Oh, okay.
And he was also a practicing Wiccan. And that's unbeknownst to most of the family members in our family, because they thought he was a good Christian man, which in many cases he was. There was nothing dark or sinister about him, but he was also a practicing Wiccan. And I learned this while I was apprenticing under him in my earlier years. But my grandfather, he kind of taught me very simply that not only is life chaos, but there's things in life that cannot be explained, and there is no reason to try and find an explanation for it, because in reality, there really are some mysteries out there that are just going to have to stay mysterious. And I like that. Even myself, I don't want to know everything. I'd rather keep some things a mystery to keep things interesting in life. And in producing the paranormal show, I'm hoping that I bring a little bit of mystery and wonder back into the lives of my audience.
You know, it's such a great thing too. Keeping things a mystery. It's almost like I mean, on a daily basis, you hear about science sort of explaining a little bit of that unknown to us here and there and breaking it apart. But at the same time, it seems like is ever expanding, and it's never getting any closer. There's so much mystery out there that, you know, it comes to light that you're like, wow. Something
well, as far advanced as we are,
yeah,
we still have a lot to learn.
Yes,
and there's a lot of mysteries out there. We think that we may have found why the Bermuda Triangle is the way it is. We think we may have found Atlantis, but we still haven't found Atlantis.
Yeah.
We think we have, but there's no definitive proof. UFOs. Paranormal activity such as hauntings.
Mm-hmm.
All these things have not been properly explained yet, and I'm glad, because, I have a completely different take on hauntings than some people do. Many people believe that maybe they're the ghosts of people that had passed on,
mm-hmm.
that are still, walking our ethereal plane.
Yep.
My idea is a little more strange and maybe sinister, and that is that, it's based on quantum theory, and that is that we live on the third dimension. Coinciding with our dimension are many others, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth. So, as I'm sitting here right now, a freight train could be going right through me, and I wouldn't even know it if I'm not existing on that dimension at that moment. So, could it be possible that these spirits were actually sentient energy from another dimensional plane? And these spirits, or these entities, as it were, had found a way of breaching our dimension and are kind of playing games with us, mm-hmm. because really they have no proper way of communication because they can't become a solid form. And so they manifest themselves in ways that play into our cultural history of what we think a ghost is, because they are obviously intelligent enough to know what's going on, and that's the way I see, ghosts and hauntings. I don't see them as Aunt Mabel from 100 years ago coming back and walking in her nightgown. Because when you die, where the hell is your clothing coming into play? Why are people wearing clothing when they come back? That's a material thing that's it has nothing to do with even our physical selves. We wear it, but dogs don't wear clothing.
Yeah.
Monkeys don't wear clothing. We wear clothing. It's an affectation that we've created as an animal to cover ourselves up. So when we see or hear of a ghost that's in Victorian clothing, it's nonsensical. It really makes no sense.
I completely agree with you. I mean, that's exactly where I've been leaning for years. In my belief system in terms of what these could possibly, what it could possibly be, rather than the dearly departed.
We've been discussing this for many years now, in that sense.
Yeah, it seems more viable. And, I mean, look, the science is there. There are multiverses. It's a known fact that we're one of multiverses that are existing. And that, hey, look at there might be a glitch here and there. Like as you explained it, there are ways that they're sort of intermingling and able to sort of, I don't want to say interfere with ours, but able to sort of patch into our dimension or level of existence. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I feel that is really what's going on. Like, we're dull-minded to think that we're the only sentient thing out there. And there must be things that are much more intelligent than we are that can appear on our ethereal plane, our third dimension, in a sense that we can't. The idea in Star Trek that there's a transporter that can move you from a planet to a ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, take that idea as a technology and put that into what a person, from another dimensional plane that is much more advanced than we are, they are coming into our dimensional plane that way. They're actually shifting into our dimension, but they aren't capable of keeping a solid form, and that's why we experience them in a ghost-like fashion. And again, it's all hypothesis.
Yes.
But that's the beauty of this. Is like we're still living in a world where there is the ability to fantasize about what's out there, what is possible.
Well, yeah, I think it's completely healthy, beyond healthy to I can't say, I'm bad with that word. Yeah. To theorize about this whole scenario. I mean, to stand there and think that it's the dearly departed is being naive.
I believe that too.
I don't know if you're familiar, Scott, but there's an outfit called World ITC. And
say that again.
World ITC,
World ITC.
Yes, or ITC for short.
Okay.
And they did some experimenting. They've been experimenting audio-wise, based on, again, if you will, Edison's phone to the dead, his apparent phone to the dead, if you will. And I believe the experimentation started in the 20s. And what they did was they started doing, again, basic would say EVP sessions, if you will.
Okay.
And they use,
and for those that don't know what that is, that's electric voice
phenomenon. Yes.
Phenomena. Exactly.
And what their claims obviously were that they were able to patch in or make communication with a professor. I can't remember his name offhand. I'd have to look at it again. That had passed away, but passed on. His claims were that he didn't in fact die, that he just went to the next level of existence. And what he was telling the people through these communications, and the recordings are, I'd have to find I know they're online, they're available online, they're rather fascinating. But the communication between these ITC guys and this apparent professor who passed on was saying to them, you are in the waiting period. Like, here, us right now are in the waiting period, waiting to move into real life. He made that claim that once you pass through death, however you want to look at it, is in fact moving forward to the next level, to what he was claiming as real life.
That's interesting.
It is. I found it rather interesting, and I mean, again, that's up to interpretation. But I mean, again, it makes you wonder. I mean, we obviously have no clue. I mean, there are science is looking at this 6 ways to Sunday in terms of what happens after life after death, if you will. And we all know energy is, it's infinite. It doesn't end. I mean...
Well, this is exactly, Einstein stated, energy can't be created nor can it be destroyed.
Yes.
And so it's like, obviously, when we pass away, our energy still must exist in a new form. And, in some people's minds, maybe it's a spirit form, although I have a hard time believing that we maintain any kind of memory of our existence once we move on, because we become something bigger, I think, and it's beyond comprehension. Like, that's why we still haven't figured out what happens when we die.
Why?
Otherwise, I'd be writing a book and making $1 trillion right now.
Exactly. I mean, it's trying to say, look, explain to me the beginning of everything.
Exactly. Well, they're finding out that the Big Bang probably didn't happen, that the universe itself might be infinite, and it has been around forever. Maybe there was no beginning, which is fascinating because it's an impossibility then. It's the chicken before the egg thing.
Exactly.
How did it exist, and why does it not have a beginning? They're learning now that because of quantum theory and everything, that the universe was not created because of the Big Bang. And there are some people that are hypothesizing that we're living in a hologram, which is a completely other evening of conversation, I'm sure.
Yes. And we've...
Or that we're the dream of a dreamer.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, we've brought that up a few times, the whole hologram scenario. I mean, it's completely plausible. You know,
well, when it comes to the paranormal, pretty much anything is.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you Alex, you look at what Dr. Brzezinski brought up when we had her on and talking about memories and our thoughts. Are they really ours? Have they been given to us? Are they really ours? Are we really?
Well, that's a good question.
Yes,
and we do suffer from false memory sometimes. You know, I think that people have had the moments in their lives where they believe they've seen or experienced something. It's a déjà vu, when actually they haven't. And it's collectively, this has happened, I think, to everybody at least once in their lives, where they feel like they've actually done something like this before, but in reality, they may have not, and it's just a false memory.
Exactly.
But where did that false memory come from, and why does that exist?
There are just so many theories, and like you know, you mentioned the mystery of it, and it's continuous, and I think that is what really draws us to it on a daily basis. You know, trying to not necessarily unfold the mystery, but to understand it, but yet you really want that, you know, the ultimate mystery to stay a mystery.
Yes, well, and that's the intrigue to the shows that I produce.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you know, incessant search for answers to the unknown. I never give answers, but I do pose a lot of great questions during the performance.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you look at a horror movie, for instance, and you know, most people today, it's about the gore and the blood and the guts and everything else, and then you sit back and you go, but I don't know, look at Hitchcock. You know, Hitchcock never showed any blood. It was always
that's classic horror, and that's something that we seem to be missing a lot these days.
Exactly.
I'm glad for, you know, I'm glad for certain people that are trying to tell interesting stories like Guillermo del Toro.
Yes,
and you know, and the ilk, because there still are some good storytellers out there.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, have you seen the movie The Babadook?
Oh, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and there's no blood in that movie at all.
None.
It's all a great story.
Yes.
And it's also an allegory of postpartum depression, really, when you want to read into it.
Yeah, I mean,
from others. It's interesting.
That and when you dive into, I think one of the best ingredient is to play with somebody's natural fear. You know,
and again, that's something that we try and tap into.
We try to tap into, and some people tend to get right? You know, trying to replicate a nightmare in film. I mean, it's been done a few times and beautifully. I don't know. Have you ever seen Dario Argento's Suspiria? Yes. And again, between imagery, lighting, and again with the soundtrack and everything else, it tends to sort of bring that all together.
I agree. And so there, as much as there are in many parts of our life the lack of story, we still occasionally meet through media people that can still indulge us in a strong story that seems to resonate with us on some higher level, and keeps us intrigued and also probing the paranormal, which is exciting.
Now, in terms of incorporating this into the Carnival Diablo.
Yes.
Colors, imagery, and overall atmosphere. What can one sort of experience that way?
Well, it's an immersive world. Once you enter Carnival Diablo, I've spent time creating a preliminary soundtrack before the show even starts that sets the tone. The theater or the venue that we're in gets changed into a 19th century styled Victorian theater, and everything is very exotic and very decadent in the way it's set up. So you basically fall into our world, much like elves fell down the rabbit hole, right from the beginning, before the show even starts. And by the time the performers hit the stage, you are now under our spell. Like you have become a part of our world for the next 2 hours.
And that once again. $5 for 2 hours of this. It's just like...
Oh, well, no. Please remember, the show Under the Big Top this summer is not 2 hours long.
Oh, okay.
It's 25 minutes
25
long.
minutes, sorry. 25 minutes.
Because we're doing 10 shows over the course of a day. And so we have to maximize the amount of shows we can do by cutting down the show to 25 minutes.
Now, okay, so for the full show, naturally, how long is the full show?
Those would be in theaters.
Those are 2 hours long.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So 25 minutes long, $5, and again, still, that is just, you can't beat that.
I agree.
you can't beat that.
I think it's one hell of a deal.
Well, yeah.
Right, and we encourage everybody who's in the area or planning to travel to the Ottawa Valley to check it out.
I'm hoping so, and I really hope to see as many fans and newbies in our audience that want to experience the strange, the bizarre, and the unusual.
And once again, folks, to learn more about Carnival Diablo, you can visit the website at www.carnivaldiablo.com. And if you want to know more about the Paranormal Show, www.theparanormalshow.net for that as well. And that was carried. That's carried what on Discovery, A&E, what? All those.
Oh yes.
Over the years,
we've had TV specials on Discovery Channel, National Geographic Channel, A&E. We've had like full hour-long specials on a lot of different big stations in the United States, and you can catch some of these still either through Amazon or even on our website. TheParanormalShow.net has a couple of the big TV specials we did in full form. And if you look up on YouTube, Carnival Diablo, you will find a lot of different footage, ranging from interviews to actual performances of the show, but never a full show under any video, because I've made it very clear that we don't want to have our show on video, like the whole show, because you can't experience Sideshow on a TV screen. You need to experience it live.
Yeah, the atmosphere. I mean, something like that.
Not the atmosphere.
No?
The actual essence of what a sideshow is about being a part of the audience and viscerally experiencing a person walking on broken glass, swallowing a sword, eating strange, creatures such as crickets and worms. That's what makes a sideshow exciting. You can't get that feeling when you watch it on TV because you become passive again. Because anything, that you watch on TV is passive. You can watch an execution passively. But if you were actually there for an execution, you would be moved and probably scarred for life.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that we're going to scar you, but I think that what we do will move you in a profound way when you see it live.
Now, go ahead, Alex.
No, I just another quick question. I know with the paranormal show, for example, you have people coming on stage. Now, I take it that's not the case with Carnival Diablo?
Well, in Carnival Diablo, we do bring up people occasionally, not as much as the paranormal show. But when we bring people up, it's to verify that what the performers are doing is real. And that's the important aspect of bringing a person up from the audience during a sideshow. Otherwise, no, we don't have people up on the stage because the feats that we're performing are very dangerous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how did the paranormal show come into being?
Well, it's funny that you ask. I invented Carnival Diablo in 1992, but the paranormal show I invented in 1997. Which makes the paranormal show's birthday this year its 20th year in the industry. And I invented it because my passion for the paranormal and the supernatural is very strong outside of my passion for sideshow. And my grandfather, who was a shaman and a very unusual man in his personal life and on stage, kind of kept me interested in the bizarre and the strange and the paranormal at a very young age. So I wanted to create a show that kind of gave me the feelings that I had when I was around my grandfather at a young age, because he made me feel that anything was possible. And the paranormal show kind of opens up some doors to make you see that things are not always as they seem. And, we can do things that seem to be only done in movies, but we do them in reality. And that's basically the crux of it right there. That's what the paranormal show is all about. It's kind of like we're the X-Men on stage in that respect, coming out and doing some rather unusual feats, whether it's through Sideshow and Carnival Diablo or in the paranormal show, the Supernatural. And it's interesting to write a show where you can try and make sense of what we're doing, also, because many of these things are nonsensical, and to make them on stage make sense is a real challenge, and it's been a fun journey to create a story for the audience to kind of fall into, where they can learn that the human mind and the body can be taken way beyond the limits that we had first put on ourselves.
And I mean, that must take a lot out of you too, with the creation of this and the storylines and all that. What sort of undertaking is that?
Oh, well, it's a constant learning curve. I'm always trying to learn about new facets of the paranormal, and I'm always trying to learn also for Carnival Diablo about new ways of taking the body to extreme limits, without, of course, harming ourselves to the point where we'd be hospitalized.
Yeah.
Many of the things that we do, yes, are dangerous and can be life-threatening, but I believe, because of the training that I give, and also the abilities of the performers in the show, we do not harm ourselves in an irreparable way. We do heal, and very fast, so that we can perform again.
Now, here's one for you. Have you, I guess, with either show, have you ever had something unfold that might have been paranormal?
Well, I've taken the paranormal show to historical sites that have been extremely haunted. And we've actually tried to make contact with the entities within the buildings or the grounds of the places that we have performed the show at. And yes, as I've said before, things do go bump in the night. And my favorite saying for the paranormal show is, things are about to get strange. And they do. There's a modicum of chaos within the show, because you just never know what's going to happen. And although some of it's scripted and some of it, is built to, wow you, there are X factors in the show that intrigue me as the producer and the performer. And it's a really interesting crapshoot in the world of the supernatural when you come and see a show, because sometimes I'm surprised at what takes place.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, when I first met you, Scott, a few years back, I've only ever known about Carnival Diablo, and then you came out with the paranormal show, or at least to my knowledge anyway at the time, not too long after that. How do you even conceive of such an idea? I guess is something that I've always been intrigued in. I mean, what you do on stage is just it looks like it took you a long time to even think about.
It did. A lot of passion, a lot of research, and a strong understanding of the different types of facets of the world of the supernatural. Like I said, telekinesis, retrocognition, hypnosis, psychokinesis, all of these incredibly different, weird facets of the paranormal world. Again, trying to make contact with an entity or a spirit. All of these things are things you have to study, and you have to try and understand them on different levels. Like, I've studied witchcraft, I've studied voodoo, I've studied Taoism. As strange as that sounds, like there's many mystical religions out there, and I've tried to understand these phenomena through the different religions that people have, like the Hindus, how they can transcend their bodies and do some of the most outrageously strange and cruel things to themselves, and yet walk away unscathed at the end of the day. All of these things are fascinating, and it's, again, because the fact that they've studied or they've put themselves into a special trance-like state to do what they do. And for me, I need to understand that if I'm going to be doing it myself. And I need to know where it comes from, so that when people like yourselves ask me a question, I can give you a proper answer instead of hum and haw about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Building upon that, is there a certain culture or religion that fascinates you the most when it comes to the paranormal, supernatural?
Well, I've always been fascinated with voodoo, but I've been more fascinated in hoodoo than voodoo. Voodoo is much like Wiccan.
Yeah.
Wiccas are people that work with magic of the earth. Mm-hmm. Black magic, on the other hand, is based more on darker, subservient things, like the need to put a curse on somebody. Well, voodoo is much like Wiccan. Mm-hmm. It's a earth religion. Yeah. A magical one at that. But hoodoo, which is an African religion also, is a dark magic religion, mm-hmm. and it's based on spells and curses.
Yeah. In hoodoo, is there not a little bit of Irish slavery involved in that as well? Is there not?
Wait, it's interesting. The majority of hoodoo practitioners are Christians.
Yeah.
And so, surprise. Yes, there is, surprise, exactly. There's a lot about, a lot of things, and I don't want to, I certainly don't want to turn people off by saying this, but there's a lot of things about Christianity that I think have some rather dark and nefarious histories that we aren't, privy to all the time. And I do believe that, many of the things that, have happened in the past with Christianity sometimes were very magically based. And when I say magic, I mean M-I-G-I-C-K. And of course, when we celebrate Christmas and Easter, we're actually celebrating old pagan holidays.
Yep.
We are not celebrating the actual time period of Jesus' birth.
Mm-hmm.
We're celebrating something completely different. It's just that we've been so used to doing it this way that we believe that it must have to do with our Christian idea of religion.
Yes, indeed. It's
that's a whole other show all unto itself.
Yes, it is.
We've done a few. Yeah, it makes you wonder, but it amazes me, Scott. You must be constantly busy. I mean, between Carnival Diablo and the Paranormal Show, and I know a few other things. Yeah, you're completely busy, on the go constantly.
Yes. Well, it's important for me to keep the mind busy by learning as much as possible about what's out there, because as you know, an idle mind is never a good thing.
Yeah, is there something that you like doing in your downtime? Like, I mean, a hobby or anything like that?
Art. I love to paint. I love to sculpt. And my solace on my off time is just creating on a different level. Kind of getting into my own mojo mentally, mm-hmm. and not really thinking while I'm creating, so that I can actually just create things that are very subconscious and unusual, because of the fact that when they're completed, they still speak wholeheartedly, about who I am as a person. And I think that any artist that understands themselves definitely, creates from some, inner need to, explain their lives in some way, whether it's abstract or not. And that's what I do as a hobby. More than anything else is I do art,
And some of that art is just, and some of that art I know you've posted. It's just phenomenal.
Thank you. And I can't really call it just a hobby, because many people have bought my art in the past, and I've made a good living off of also selling my art worldwide. So ultimately, it's one of those things where I've taken a wonderful pastime, mm-hmm. from my performances and everything, and turned it into a viable way of making money outside of the productions.
Now here's a question for you: have you ever tapped into the other side to get your art done?
Have I tapped into the other side to get my art done?
Yes.
No, I think I've tapped into my subconscious, but I don't think I've tapped into the other side. I don't think I've used entities or other energies to move my hands and make things happen.
That would be something else.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like automatic writing, or automatic writing. That's right. So it would be more like.
And that's something I have dealt with in the show before. Automatic writing.
Yes.
It's all fascinating. And again, where does that come from? I'm not sure. I don't believe that it's a ghost that's making your hand write, and I think that the tremors in your hand that make you write or do certain things are sometimes subconscious, and sometimes maybe there is other forces involved. But I don't believe that it's going to be a ghost of Aunt Mabel or Uncle Henry.
Well, let's once again get all the links out there for people who want to look into both Carnival Diablo and the Paranormal Show. Carnival Diablo can be found at www.carnivaldiablo.com. And the Paranormal Show can be found at www.theparanormalshow.net. Is there anything else that you'd like to get out there, Scott, for people to maybe get in contact with you or whatever else?
Well, you can find us on Facebook. Both just type in Carnival Diablo. You'll find our fan site and the Paranormal Show. There's a fan site for it also. I also have a fan page for myself, so you can kind of keep up with what I'm doing under just Scott McClelland. And that's Scott MCLLand.
Okay. Well, you know what? It's been an honor to have you on finally. It's been great. And I don't know, we may have to travel up to Ottawa to see the show.
Well, I'd embrace having you guys out.
Well, I
just don't bring me up. Don't bring me up on the stage, though.
Oh, I wouldn't do that.
Well, we certainly look forward to the dates and the schedule or whatever else. And who knows, we may have to do a road trip up there to see one of the shows, because I know I definitely would love to see him. So that'd be cool.
Let's try and make that happen.
Absolutely. I want to thank you again, Scott, for coming on.
My pleasure.
Please take care, and hopefully we do see you at one of the shows.
Oh, and gentlemen.
Yes.
Sweet nightmares.
I'm looking forward to it.
Good night.
Good night, Scott. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, it's a sideshow under a big top tent. How could you not want to see something like that?
And it's what, $5 for 25 minutes?
$5 for 25 minutes. And my mistake. I said 2 hours. Sorry.
That's his regular show. Yeah.
That's the regular show. But I mean, this is under. But I probably want to see this rather than in an auditorium, in a big top tent.
Well, again, it harkens back to, I mean, we're dating ourselves when we talk about stuff like this, but it's because, we grew up in a time when that was still a viable entertainment source for a lot of people around North America. And unfortunately, that seems to, with the exception of Scott's show, it seems to have gone the way of the dodo, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. Especially when, a lot of them were using animals. Yeah. And now in this day and age, when you have activism the way it is now, it makes it increasingly hard for something like that to actually run.
Which is why Scott's show is unique, because it doesn't use any animals, just human animals.
Yeah, human animals.
So, but it is a good. I've seen his paranormal show many times.
Yeah,
it's a very, very good show. If anybody who has any interest in the paranormal, I think should check it out at least once in their life, at least. Because he does change it up a little bit every so often. So, I mean, you're always going to catch something new.
Yeah. I definitely want to see it.
Yeah, and I want to see his Diablo show, too. I haven't had the chance to watch that. So that's definitely something I'd love to go see.
And I look forward to when he finally releases the dates that they will be doing it. And I mean, hey, like we said, it's really not that far.
No, it's not that far.
Not that far at all. Just down the QEW a little bit.
For you, yes.
For me, why wouldn't it be for you?
I wouldn't take the QEW to go to Ottawa. You take the 401.
Or, well, you know what I mean. Sorry, the 401. That's what I meant. The 401. Here I'm thinking of a Buffalo Sabres game.
Yeah.
Down the QEW. No, down the 401, sorry.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'd be great. I mean, it's echoes of, and when I was a kid I used to love, and this show my age again, but whatever. I remember years ago, I think it was 1050 Chum. 1050 Chum. Mm-hmm. They used to play old serials on Sunday evenings. All night long, man. The Shadow.
I listened to that on Sirius.
Yeah, fucking.
They got a channel dedicated to that
stuff. I know now they do, but it was a rarity back then. You know, it was great when Chum, you know, I forget what it was called, what they called it, but they would play the Shadow and a couple other things for a few hours on Sunday evenings, and you know. Automatically, when you listen to Scott and when he gets into sort of that mode, it's like he would make that perfect presenter for a radio program, something like that, a radio serial like that, something like that, something, you know, haunting and paranormal and supernatural and mysterious, you know,
diabolical,
you know. He certainly has the voice for that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
well, the voice and the attitude.
Just overall. I mean, that he that's his mold. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and you sort of get a little bit of that, obviously, with the characters that he portrays in Carnival Diablo, which is the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the character's name in the paranormal show?
I don't remember if he actually has. I'm sure he does. I just don't remember the name right now.
Well, I think I was looking at it, and I can't. Oh boy, it had a name. Well,
I guess we should have asked Scott that, huh?
Well, let's look at the website. We have the technology to do that.
Apparently, we do. Yes. Wonder
Camera? Cabinet of Wonders. Sorry.
No, well, that's not his name.
No, that's not his name. Okay, maybe he does not.
No, he does. I just don't remember off the top of my head right now, unfortunately. I do believe there's a name associated with the character, but anyway, it's got to be somewhere on the website. This would just encourage people to go check out the website.
Well, which is obviously the paranormalshow.net, and again for Carnival Diablo, it's carnivaldiablo.com.
That's right.
And he will, as he mentioned, next week we'll be posting the show dates for the Ottawa Valley area, which is how many? He didn't mention how many shows, did he? I can't remember.
He said he had a bunch of shows, but
he didn't say exactly how many. I think he said 10 shows a day, though, right?
10 shows a day, yes.
10 shows a day. 25
it runs until October, he said. So I mean, there's going to be a lot of shows.
That's a lot of shows, and 25 minutes in length for $5. Come on, you can't beat that. I mean, if you want to spend $50 and see it 10 times a day,
yeah, exactly.
You know whatever. Check it out.
And the name on the paranormal show is Vladimir.
Vladimir, that's it.
Vladimir Isengrim.
Yes, Vladimir Isengrim.
I knew there was a name to it. It just wasn't coming because it's a name that should be easy to remember, but I'm horrible with remembering names. So
that is cool. Definitely, perhaps check it out. Maybe sometime this summer. Who knows, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Road trip. We got to do that.
Road trip.
And I think for sure during our hiatus, I think I'm in the mood to shoot episode 3.
I think we should.
Subject material to be announced, but I think we'll do Nocturnal Night Shots episode 3. It is 3, right?
It is 3.
It is 3. We'll do that, I think, in our hiatus, and check out the our page, which is again, just go to the Facebook search and type in Nocturnal Night Shots, and you'll find the first 2 episodes there and everything else. And I will post it once again in the Nocturnal Frequency Radio page, which is at www.facebook.com/Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Next week, we have somebody on to talk about the Eliza Lamb case.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to that, because that was definitely one hell of a weird case. It is a weird case.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have you seen the video? That's obviously that happened to her last moments in the elevator.
Yeah, I caught a bit of the video, yes.
So you haven't seen the whole video?
Not yet.
Oh, dude, you got to see the whole video. Anyhow, we're going to have Jake Anderson on to talk about that case. He's got a documentary coming up called "What Happened to Eliza Lamb." So we're going to catch up with him and sort of pick his brain about that whole mysterious case. Again, Eliza is a Canadian who was from Vancouver, who traveled to Los Angeles to stay for a while at the Cecil Hotel, which is in a shady part of Los Angeles, from what I understand. And again, if you look at the back story of the Cecil Hotel alone, that's enough to tell you something weird is going on there. Anyways, she went missing, and they eventually found her in one of the hotel water tanks on the roof, the roof of the hotel. And the condition in which they found her obviously made them wonder, okay, how the hell did she get in this tank by herself? If she did. She couldn't have. You know?
Yeah.
So, what happened to Eliza Lamb? That is our show next Sunday night with Jake Anderson. So, until then, I want to thank Scott McClelland for coming on this evening to talk about the paranormal show and Carnival Diablo. Until next Sunday, folks. Thank you for tuning in to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, and have a good evening.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
You've tuned into Nocturnal Frequency Radio with your hosts,